My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of the Robocop franchise from worst to best. And this franchise is just all over the place for me, and I know I have some hot takes here, but let's just get into it with the worst movie here, and it's Robocop 3. Um, this movie just did nothing for me. It feels way too sanitized and clean to be a Robocop movie. It just lacks any bit of grit or edge. You've got the one evil robot villain who's just not well built up to at all. You've got Lois who dies and it just lacks any bit of emotional weight. And the new characters just did nothing for me. Um, I watched this movie very recently and I'm already forgetting most of it. I remember the cops teaming up with the rebellion at the end of the movie. There's the kid who can hack into the robots. Robocop flies, but it's just all a jumbled mess. It doesn't have any bit of memorable aspects, so that's why it's dead last. The second worst Robocop movie is Robocop 2. And this movie is mildly frustrating because I actually see the potential here a lot more. Like, there is this great section where we see all these failed Robocop experiments killing themselves. There's a scene where Robocop stops violence and tries to be like a more uplifting figure, and this section is absolutely hilarious. I loved it. I like some of the practical effects, especially the scene where they put the villain's brain in this jar and he's just watching them do things to his body. That's really horrific psychologically, but there's just too much going on in this movie and it just feels like a mess. It just feels like it lacks any bit of clear direction and it suffers pacing wise as a result. And even just the character Robocop, I feel like his arc was pretty weak. And then they completely waste this villain. Like, they build him up the entire time, and then they just put him into this robot, but, like, he doesn't have any grudges. He's just a blank slate. So it's like, why would you establish him just to throw all of that away? It doesn't add anything to the last act. What else even happens in this movie? Oh, the kid villain. I hated the kid villain. That was a stupid decision. Um, yeah, it's just a pretty forgettable movie. It has a few moments. It definitely stands out a bit more than the third one, but it's not one I'm ever planning to go back to. So that's why it's the second worst. The second best, okay, and this is where I'm going to lose people, is the original 1987 movie. Now, I do like this movie. It's never been a favorite of mine. I think I've watched it 4 or 5 times in my lifetime, and it's an entertaining movie. I think Paul Verhoeven brings his style perfectly here. I love the clunky look of Robocop. I love some of the practical effects. And I do love the story being told, but it just lacks any bit of a personal angle to it. We never see his wife and kids. We never really are emotionally invested in his journey. And that's where the movie loses me a bit. It feels like you tap into certain potential and you never fully realize it. I do like the satire. This movie can be very smart, it can be very funny. I love the brutality of it. The violence is great. I love the use of stop motion for the giant robots. And I love the ending of this movie. Well, you're fired. Thank you. Perfect ending. Love it. It just ends right there. But I don't know, just emotionally and entertainment wise, it leaves a bit to be desired. So, as much as I do appreciate so much of this movie, it's never been a favorite of mine, and that's why it's my second favorite Robocop movie. So, now that leaves the best Robocop movie, and it's the 2014 remake, which some people hate, and I just don't understand why. I always hear the criticism it's PG-13, okay? And it's a remake. Well, duh, obviously, but this movie just takes the story of the original and evolves it in such a great manner. It explores so many more areas of this premise and it just felt fresh, it felt new while being a remake. The way they play around with Morphe's personality and trying to tone down his humanity and toning up the robotic nature. It's like they say they want a Robocop, but what they really want is a robo slave. And I love how that's explored and how they give him the illusion of free will whenever he puts the visor on. That's really great. And how is his humanity a strength or is it a weakness? I love how the movie explores that. And it really has a lot more going into it. Like he wakes up and he's still Morphe. And it's about how he loses Morphe and then eventually fights back for control of his person. And I just think that does more for me. The wife and the son being involved is a fantastic addition. I don't think the execution is fully there, but I still appreciate the attempt. I love the scene where he wakes up and we just see that he's like a few organs and a head, and that's all that's left of him. That is a horrific moment. Like, this might be PG-13, but that gets under my skin more than anything else in any of these movies. Like, there's just nothing left of this man. I think Joel Kinnaman does a perfectly fine job. Gary Oldman and Michael Keaton stand out to me. I think the action is entertaining. I like the smooth look of the Robocop. Very different from the original look, but that's a good thing. It's good for different visuals for different movies. I like how they've got some lines from the original and it still feels iconic without leaning into it too much. I love the scene where he interrogates the guy and he's just like, Izo, I can shoot you with this and you'll like lose bowel control, you'll do this, and then I'll take you to the police. Or you can tell me and then I'll take you to the police. That's a great moment. Yeah, no, I just think this is a very entertaining movie. I think it explores the premise a lot more. Yeah, I've never gotten the hate. I get more from the remake than I do for the original. They're both the same story, but there's just such different takes on them that they can coexist pretty well. So, yeah, that's why the 2014 remake is my favorite of the franchise. But what's your ranking? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.